Hello everyone, it's GigaBeef here, and today we have the patch 13 notes finally, which is awesome. It's the patch with streets in it, and we're going to go through the patch notes in the order of what I think is the most important, starting with sound mechanics. So they've reworked the sound mechanics. Steam audio has been completely removed, as we knew, but it has been replaced by Oculus audio. Now what it says here is that something to do with the base audio engine has been changed, and so sound positioning will be noticeable regardless of whether you have binaural sound setting on or off, which is previously how you switched Steam audio on and off. But we recommend enabling binaural audio for the best experience, which I would probably also recommend doing. It says in the current implementation, the sound positioning system handles a much larger number of conditions, and the final adjustment of positioning is on factory, customs, woods, and streets of Tarkov. So the other locations are going to need some other updates, but this is awesome. We're going to just have to see how it works out in raid and see how it feels. Next up, obviously, we have streets of Tarkov. A lot of us knew that this was going to be coming in this particular patch, and this is fully confirmed. We have a whole blurb here, which is about the lore of the location. We don't really know much about streets of Tarkov, except for what we've seen in terms of the trailer, but there is actually one part about streets that is kind of interesting here, which I'll show you. So if we go to extracts, there's one part which says a new type of extraction is available on Streets of Tarkov. To activate it, you will need to fire a green flare cartridge in the area before you exit, otherwise you'll be shot by snipers when approaching it. Now I didn't think we were getting any new extracts on streets, at least that's what Nikita said, but it looks like they've been able to get this in before the patches come out. So that's pretty cool. You're gonna have to find green flares to get out of a certain extract. Who knows, maybe this will be relevant on some other maps too. Now I wanted to talk about this in a little bit of a different order. So skills, because this is relevant to another section that comes above it in the patch notes, but you kind of need to read this first. So we've added a new skill, light armor, and a new skill, heavy armor. So in terms of light armor, this reduces your movement penalties and basically it means that it repairs better, and also damage from melee weapons, which seems very specific to me. I mean, I don't think there's really any points in that. Heavy armor does basically the same thing, so it reduces the penalties to movement. You get better blunt damage on parts that are covered by the armor, which is kind of interesting, and again, armor repairs slightly better. So those are all well and good, but the most important part about these is that we've had repair kits and enhancements. So weapons, body armor, and plate carriers now receive standard or rare improvements. The ability to enhance items opens at level 10 of the corresponding skill. So for light armor, you'll need a light armor skill of 10, heavy armor, a heavy armor skill of 10, and for weapons, a weapon maintenance skill of 10. The rare enhancements are only going to be applied at the elite level of the corresponding skill, so this is not going to be relevant for most people, and the chance and strength of a normal standard enhancement depends on the level of the corresponding skill. So for body armor and plate carriers, basically we can get the enhancement which reduces the damage that a character takes. It's just like an extra damage buff on that particular piece of armor, and weapons can have two kinds of enhancements. The first is a decrease in malfunction chance. Whether that matters so much, you can be the good judge of that. And the second is an increase in accuracy, which could be interesting for certain things like snipers or whatnot. So these enhancements are going to be effective within a certain range of the item's technical condition, i.e. their durability or armor points, and they get removed after repairing. So it's not like it sticks around for all eternity. It's going to be kind of a one and done kind of thing. And the enhancement affects its value on the flea, on the selling price, insurance, flea market fee, that kind of thing. This could be interesting because I guess there's some ways that you could sell find in raid stuff. If you found something in raid, it was damaged, you repaired it and had an enchantment, I suppose that could actually, in theory, be put up on the flea market. So you're going to have to be a little bit careful and make sure if you are putting something like that up that you're looking out for things on the flea market, or at least you're putting it up for the value that it deserves. So now they seem to have reworked the intelligence skill. So this now reflects the amount of repair points that will be spent on repairs. So the more intelligence you have, presumably, the lower the cost is going to be for using your armor kit or your repair weapon kit. And the value of the removed max durability is going to depend on that particular skill. So it's going to lower the max by less if you've got a greater light or heavy or weapons maintenance skill. As it said before, for weapons, it's weapons maintenance, and for armor, it's the relevant armor skill. And for other items with durability points, it's intelligence. Can't really think what that might be at this point. Maybe it's certain hats or so. I'm not really sure what that might be, but anyway, it's mostly going to be about weapons maintenance and light and heavy armor skill. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how quickly those level up. So the other point that is relevant for this is what they've got here, which is added weapon malfunctions for bots. So AI can now jam, which is going to be kind of interesting because they all have pretty scuffed guns. So we're going to see whether that really takes the teeth out of a lot of scavs. Could be interesting. And again, improved the behavior of rogue bosses. These guys have really terrible guns. So unless they've made the guns better, we might actually find it's easier to fight against the rogue bosses because their guns are at 60% durability. So we'll just have to see about that one. The final one on skills is charisma. So the charisma skill has been reworked. This doesn't do anything at the moment in the game. This skill's progression affects the price of insurance, paid extracts, replacement of operational tasks, the price of the scav box, and therapist healing services. So it's kind of interesting. So this now actually has some bearing upon the game. Who knows? Maybe this even affects Lightkeeper's rep or something. I don't know. But anyway, you're going to have to pay attention to charisma. We're going to have to figure out how to level it, and that's going to have some effect on some of these things that we buy within the game. game itself. Right, next on to stuff about the Hideout. We've got 2 new upgrades for the shooting range, which is awesome. The 2 new levels allow you to set up a variety of shooting targets, including moving targets, and using a training program to improve your shooting accuracy, which is really cool. The Hideout has always kind of needed a better shooting range. I'm just hoping that we don't have bullet holes all over it or whatever, but this is really good that we're getting some love to the Hideout. Now, there are 2 other Hideout improvements that are hidden down further in the body of the patch notes. One of them says some recipes for crafting in the Hideout will become available as a reward for completing specific quests. So you're not just going to be able to craft everything in the Hideout as soon as you unlock that particular module of the workbench or whatever it might be. You're going to have to do a certain quest, say it's 762 BP, you might have to complete whatever it is before you can actually get the craft available, which is kind of interesting. The other one is the ability to add a craft to your favorites, as well as search by name in the craft list. This is an enormous quality of life thing. This is going to make using the Hideout so much easier, adding a few things to favorites, because you do tend to do the same crafts on rotation. This is going to be awesome, and I am here for it. So the next one is about the co-op PvE expansion. We've got a lot more tools to do offline raids and fun community events. No energy and water drain is an option, which is great. Bot configuration, we've basically taken all of the stuff from solo, so difficulty of bots, you can make it so that there aren't any. You could put horde mode on and do co-op kind of horde mode, defend in factory kind of things. And then we have a couple of spawn point options too. We still have as online and all in one place, which we have at the moment, but now they've added 2 teams. So players in the group are divided into 2 teams according to the order in which they enter the group and spawned as different teams in 2 parts of the map, which is pretty cool. And then we also have the weather condition options. This is going to be so good for just like getting footage in offline, because for content creators it's actually really annoying. You can now fine tune the weather. Adjustment options are clouds, fog, rain, wind. I'm hoping that this is basically a off, 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 so you can just turn them all off. That would be really, really good. Then we've got the time configuration, so you can set a time of day. It seems like what this is going to do is this is going to pause the time. So you say 3 p.m. in the afternoon, it's going to freeze the time, and it's just never, the sun's not going to move in that particular raid, which is kind of nice. You can say, I want it in the afternoon, and I don't want any of these things. And then you're going to be able to do either long range sniping or like check out stuff, and it's not just going to suddenly start raining or change or go to night or whatever, which is going to be really good. And they've got some extra functionality that's going to come. It says there's some things in the interface. I'm assuming these are going to be grayed out for now, which is time flow. So what, you start at a certain time and it flows, and then health config. But I think these are kind of the important things. The one other thing that I'd like is the free cam, but you know, we'll see. Maybe that'll come eventually. Right, we also have 5 new stimulants in the game. We have Abdul Boss 2, so who knows what this is going to be. Abdul Boss is pretty good, but has some horrible downsides at the moment. A new version of the old classic. We're just going to have to see. It doesn't really give anything away here. Then we've got SJ12 Terror Group Labs, developed for the operatives of special units. It slows down the functions of the body, and works with energy regen. So it looks like you're going to get some energy regeneration, and then what you will get is a lower body temperature and an increase in perception, and then at the end a jump in temperature of 42 degrees or something. So this is kind of like a different version of the SJ9. The SJ9 hides you from thermals at the moment, which seems like this is what this is going to do as well, but this also seems to give you some energy too. And I think that this might be useful for getting past Archie up to Lighthouse. It depends on how they've set the mechanics, but maybe this or the SJ9 might be useful for that. Going up to 40 to 42 degrees afterwards, I don't think really matters unless it gives you some kind of negative effect to yourself personally, to your health or something, because you already shine super bright on thermal, so I don't think it really makes any difference. Now this one is interesting. Perphotoran, if that's how you pronounce it, blue blood. A blood substitute with a function of oxygen transfer is a powerful antidote capable of relieving toxins, poisons, and radiation damage. I wonder if we're going to get radiation damage in this patch. I don't know. It doesn't say anything else about that anywhere else. So it says once you take it, it speeds up the metabolism, so you can have plus metabolism, regenerates tissues, so presumably positive health, and negatively affects health in the case of an overdose or rejection. So I wonder if you can take too many and then it gives you a problem, or rejection as in it's going to have a 25% chance to kill you or whatever, like the Abdul Boss did from the events that we've had previously. We'll have to see. And we've got Trimadol, an opioid synthetic analgesic. So this is basically a painkiller. And what this does is, as well as the painkiller effect, it increases combat characteristics. So this might be a sort of cracked version of the L1 or something like that. Hopefully it's got a relatively long timer on it, because it means people won't use it otherwise. And overdose leads to exhaustion of the body after the effects wear off. So I'm not sure how many of these you can really use. Maybe it's got a really long time on it, but then if you use more than one, then it's across like 5 raids or something. It'll give you some negative effect. I don't know. But it does look like overdosing might be in the game. At least that's what we are alluded to here in this text. So then we've got the PNB Product 16. Combat Stim allows short-term activation of the inner muscles. So this one says reduced damage and then accelerated tissue regeneration. So this is kind of like what, Meldonin plus Propitol kind of thing. And it says has some side effects, but we don't know what these are yet. Right, onto the weapons. They put these quite high up in the list, but I don't think this is that important, honestly, because we've seen most of these already. 40mm underbarrel grenade launchers for AKs, 40mm underbarrel grenade launchers for the AR-15 family, the SR-2M submachine gun, which we've seen already, the AUG A1 and A3. So the A3 is the one that's got a flat top that allows you to mount a custom optic, which is kind of cool. And you can get magazines up to 42 rounds, so that could be quite fun. Another Glock, the 19X, like a relatively modern Glock pistol, the RSH-12, which is a revolver that fires the Ash-12 ammo, which is going to be funny, and then added new equipments. We're just going to have to see about this. They usually add some new rigs, some new armors, maybe a few other bits and pieces. I guess there's probably not any other weapons coming, but usually it's body armors and stuff like that. So we'll have to dive into that once we get into the patch and see what's available. So other than that, we're down into sort of the ancillary random items. So we've got voice lines now for Killer, Tagilla, Knight, Bird Eye, and Big Pipe. This is good because these guys just sounded like rogues before. Tagilla, I'm even sure if he had any voice lines, and then Killer sounded like a regular scav. So it was pretty unfortunate. So this is cool. We're going to be able to identify these guys by what they sound like. And other things, we've got rebalanced weapon mastery. We'll have to see what that means. Rebalanced trading and prices and new barter items, which is cool. A good shake up to the trader system is always nice. And then rebalanced conditions and rewards in the old quests, as well as added new ones. So these presumably are mostly going to be streets, but they've rebalanced some of the rewards here. So we're going to have to figure out where the items are within the particular quest lines. One most interesting thing here is some quests and chains can now become available after a period of time after the completion of the previous one. I don't know exactly how to interpret this. If you take it literally at face value, it means that say you complete Punisher Part 5, maybe you wouldn't get Punisher Part 6 for a day. It could also mean that some quests are not available to the whole community all at once. That's not how it's written, but that could be one potential interpretation if you're taking it slightly more loosely. So we're going to have to see, but this could, in theory, push progression out a little bit further and prevent people from speedrunning through all the quests, because the next piece of the quest is not necessarily available as soon as the prior quest is finished. So we will see. Now, on that basis, the spawn points of some quest items have been changed. The item will be in one of the random places located near each other. So I imagine something like the machinery key, maybe it's in any jacket within dorms, rather than that one specific jacket in that one room. We're going to have to see about that. That's going to be kind of interesting too, because this is going to shake stuff up and people are going to have to spend a little bit more time trying to figure things out rather than just run to one place, run to another place and speed running to level 42 and finishing all the quests. On the technical side, FSR 2.1 has been added. This is cool. We'll have to see how this performs. Sometimes DLSS is a little bit strange, so FSR might actually work a little bit better, and they've optimized a bunch of stuff for this, so that'll be pretty interesting to see whether that enhances some people, especially if you're running a slightly lower end rig. Now, jumping to the list of fixes, there's quite a lot of stuff that's here that is not really that relevant. There's just various issues, but some things are kind of cool. Fixed an issue where already looted containers were left open to other players. So presumably that was a bug. I thought that was a feature. So I guess maybe now you won't be able to tell if a container was looted or not. Apparently that was a bug. I didn't realize that that was a problem. So there you go. Another one here that is kind of interesting and might have some far-reaching ramifications is fixed some weapons mods glowing in the dark. Now, we know that TAN FDE parts have glown in the dark in certain situations on certain lighting constraints, usually on interchange and some other maps like that. And this also stops people from wanting to use some of the SCAR weapons as well in FDE because those glow too. So maybe they've fixed all of those, which would be really cool. I don't know what we're going to have to see about this wipe and see if that's all right. But that means that people might actually want to use some of those FDE versions of these guns because normally people avoid them just in case they're glowing like a beacon out in the middle of the darkness. Fixed freezing when jumping over certain objects is kind of annoying when you're sliding, so again, we'll have to see exactly whether that's fixed completely or not, especially if you're jumping around in the rocks on woods, for example, whether now you can't just glide across and then end up falling off, because that's generally pretty annoying. There was one thing that was quite cool, fixed camera position when shooting the Chris Vector with the folded buttstock. I thought this was fun because I actually put this out on Twitter and showed that this was an issue. So, you know, they are receptive to people putting out bugs. I did actually file a proper bug report too for this. So, you know, if you flag stuff, sometimes these things can get fixed. Same thing with the AK-MP sights on 7.62 AK Recoil. I flagged a bug report for this and also made a video about this. I know other people have made videos about this too, but I made one relatively recently and that's also fixed. So that's pretty neat. Now, fix the sound of bushes on the loading screen when the spawn point is near a bush. This is amazing because it was so obnoxious to be spawning in, not be able to move out of a bush and just have it rustling in your face. That was extremely, extremely painful. And then other than that, pretty much all the other things are just general technical fixes and bots behavior and stuff like that. So for me, I think that's the most important part of this patch. I really hope that you all enjoy it. We're going to have to go and see how it plays out. Good luck on the streets, and I'll see you in the next video. Catch you later, guys. Bye.